Another film for me that came out last year, but sadly I was not able to see just due to where I live. But to me, this was probably actually, I would say this was my most anticipated movie of the year, and that is Channel 5, Andrew Callahan's documentary, Dear Kelly. Andrew Callahan, I could just praise this guy for days. I absolutely love his YouTube channel. I love what he's doing in the field of journalism, in the field of content creation, whatever you would kind of do. The way that I think he's handling a lot of major issues, issues of poverty, drug abuse, trafficking, mega in general, political hysteria, protest, the way he handles that to me is super B. And I am always one, as soon as he makes a video, I'm watching it, everything that he produces. So I am coming into this film as a huge fan. And honestly, too, it was a YouTube video, and that's something that blew my mind. But the tunnels, it was he was showing the Las Vegas tunnels and kind of his dealings with some of the people who live down there. And to me, I thought that was film documentary worthy. That could have been in the theater. I think what he's doing is absolutely incredible. And for me, when I heard about the premise to this documentary, I was absolutely amazed. Because I absolutely loved his HBO documentary, which actually interesting in this film. I actually like the title that he said that wasn't approved, but was America Shits Itself, which I think is a great title for that documentary. To me, that documentary really captured a moment in time, a political just saga that was happening at that time. It was incredible, just to go over it. Like 2020 election was absolutely nuts, insane, and his capturing of it, with it basically ending on January 6th, which he sadly missed, but which I just was so well done. I recommend that documentary to everyone and anyone. And also too, I think one thing that you can struggle with when you're making political documentaries and everything, and we all have implicit bias, right? And he does talk about his implicit bias to a lot of these things. He's definitely is more left socialist adjacent, I would say. But I think the way that he also handles right-wing Republicans and Christian evangelicals, I think is also something that should be commended. And it is so easy to write a lot of these people off as your enemies, as the bad guys, and a lot of them are. A lot of those people are pieces of shit. But at the same time, these people are humans. These people have to deal with so many issues. They're human just like us. They put their pants on. And so I know as hard as it can be to love and empathize with people like that, I think what he's able to do with it is incredible. And it really shows a lot more what he's able to do because he has shown them as somewhat of a level of respect that warrants him able to covering them. It's allowed actually like people like Alex Jones, who wouldn't probably go on most left shows. He would I wouldn't say he would ever go on the Majority Report. I love the Majority Report, but I don't see Alex Jones ever making a call-in interview with Sam. But Channel 5, he was able to interview him, and he's able to interview a lot of these right-wingers who still see him as someone, he's holding them with respect. He's not, I forget the people's name, they're on the Daily Show, and I find it funny. I'm not going to pretend I don't find it funny, but at the same time, they're not changing anything. They're not accomplishing anything politically or journalistically by just making these people look like dummies. How many states are there? 53, 49. Like, it's like, you know the answer, right? It's kind of, to me, it's a waste of time and energy. It's not getting anything done, and it's only there to laugh at and mock. But let's get into it, and that's kind of where this documentary stems from. Is essentially a character study of a mega supporter named Kelly Johnson, who is a very interesting figure and just kook, essentially, that he met along his way of covering the 2020 election. And for him, he's what compelled him to study him, compared to, he met a million people that are like him, that wear the flags, have absolutely nothing to their name, but have hold Trump like he's some emperor. And he was interested in that this guy continuously kept calling out this Bill Walderson, who was essentially, I guess, during the 2008 financial crisis, was basically a shady loner, and he was giving out a lot of people at this time who were not financially able to afford these loans or afford the houses that they were in, and he was giving this guy, he gave basically Kelly Johnson a crazy loan, and this was essentially what started off his financial destruction. And to me, I was so impressed with this documentary. I got to see this in a theater, which I was really happy to. It wasn't a full theater; it's a smaller independent cinema. I would say roughly 15 people. I was hoping for a full show. This is a documentary. I think it should have a full audience too, because it's incredibly funny. The editing style and the way that they shoot with Channel 5 is incredible, and that humor works so good in the audience. Because I've seen Channel 5 videos with friends, or I'll throw it on or something with another person in the room, but I never really got to experience that enjoyment of being in a group together, just laughing at some of the stupidity and craziness of these mega supporters. But really, to me, and again, like, this was a hilarious film. I was continuously laughing. The audience members with me were continuously laughing. It was incredible. It was great. But also, to me, this film basically shot me in the heart. To me, I know I'm not a guy that cries during movies. I've seen some incredibly sad movies, and I'm usually moved by them. But for me, there's a disconnect in me actually emotionally crying. I don't know, maybe it's like a macho, me trying to be all tough and cool or whatever. But there was a few movies. The biggest one I'll always remember is Old Yeller. It definitely made me cry, but I thought movies were real back then. And, to me, it's always an illusion. But there's been a few movies that have, in the past few years, have gotten me emotional. The Last Showgirl, that had me teary-eyed, but I didn't cry during that movie. But this movie, I did cry. And this film, to me, is just a great way of representing to me how much the American government and the American system has just screwed over its own people. And I'm not saying Kelly is innocent or anything. He's a very, very flawed individual, and in my opinion, not a good guy. And I would not support, and I don't support any of his political beliefs. And as a person, he seems quite shady and somewhat self-centered. Actually, narcissistic is a better way of describing it. But I don't want to get too spoil heavily with it, but for me, I'm someone who, and I want to make a video on it, but I do want to spend some time to write it, and then that I went through crazy radicalization, and I de-radicalized myself. I was quite heavily into Christianity. I was quite right-wing. I believed all the crap that was basically fed to me from YouTube and Instagram. Not adhering blame, but that was where I got most of my information. But I realized it was right after about a year and a half after the 2020 election, I realized the damage that I was doing. I realized the people I hurt, the things that I was believing were just nonsensical. They were not true. I was listening to people that want to grift money from me and grift attention for themselves, not actually standing up for anything that they believe because they're spineless grifters, but also how abhorrent my political ideology is. And when my political ideology at the time, if it was ever used or if it was ever enacted by a government, it would be some of the most abhorrent, terrible, most destructive policies, and there's history that backed that up. And so for me to go through that realization was a very hard time in my life. It was a crisis of faith. I also lost my Christianity, my belief in Christianity, and I had that hope for him. Going through this documentary, I had that hope that he would come to this realization, because there's a lot of stuff where he would draw comparisons to his very strange financial situation that basically got started off from this terrible loan that he took early on and that he took on before the financial crisis, and he would draw that to Obama, the lizard people down in DC, the tunnels in Colorado, every eccentric political belief your uncle believes in. Kelly believes that, and I had that hope. I had that hope that he would have that realization, that he would change, he would put in that hard work. But I'm not gonna say what exactly happens. But that was just disappointing on a human level. And also too, I have family members that are quite radicalized, that were believe the lies of Facebook and all these conspiracy theories that essentially has basically made these people politically illiterate to getting anything done, to having any real discussion about anything that's actually real and not just some esoteric conspiracy theory that somebody wants to think up. And to me, it's quite sad, right? To if you're this passionate about something, if you're this passionate about politics, but at the end of the day, all your politics are so eccentric and are so nonsensical that they will never get put in place. I found that quite sad, and I have a few family members that I'm quite close to that have gone through that, and especially when you see during the 2020, which I think will be obviously the ramifications of that year are still happening. Or not the year, but that just what happened, like a global pandemic. The ripple effects of that especially on a psychological level, will be studied at for years and years to come. And what we've seen from a lot of people who were around 50s, I would say a lot of boomer to like old Gen X, a lot of these people, I think, from what my perspective is a world that they worked about 20, 25 years, 30 years in a field to build for was taken from them. And that's what I see in a lot of these people, is that the ideas that were given to them, that were fed into them while they were working or when they were children, and these hopes and dreams that they had, were economically crushed by some psychopaths who want to make their bank account go up. And that's incredibly sad. It's incredibly fucked up. And overall, to me, this documentary, it just hit me on such a level that I thought was very moving. And this documentary, I really hope it comes out on. I don't know if there is a physical, because it was on Max, fuck streaming services, his last documentary. So I don't know if he has physical media like a Blu-ray or whatever coming out. But if it does, this is a day one purchase. This is a documentary I think everyone should watch. Everyone needs to go see, especially in the political atmosphere and temperature that we're living in. These pieces of art are important and are needed to be seen. So to me, it's probably pretty obvious. I'm going to give this film a 10 out of 10. This was fucking incredible. Everyone should watch it. Andrew Callahan, to me, is the director that I'm keeping an eye on his career. I hope he does even bigger and bigger things. What he's able to do at his age is absolutely incredible. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.